Hello. Hello, hello, hello. It is Catherine Massell, sending Earth Creatrix in a very, very wintry wonderland here in Tahoe. I'm going to share this in a few places. Hoping maybe some people can jump on. I'm trying to figure out this whole watch party thing. Hi, Svetlana. Perfect. Hello. I'm going to actually share this in our Wealth Consciousness Collective group because this is something that can really benefit everybody. I'm not trying to boost the post. Hi, Raquel. Let's see. I'm going to share this in a few places. Jump on. Tell me if you're a Super Bowl watcher today or not. I know some of you are not in the U.S. or don't care. Yes, I watch football. Yes, I'm going to be drinking beer and watching football and eating crappy food. Yep. Super Bowl Sunday, I get a pass. Let's see. I'm going to share on my timeline. I'm going to share in a couple groups. I'm going to share in Wealth Consciousness Collective, and then I'm going to get started talking about this. How's everybody doing today? I got some juicy stuff to break down for you guys because a lot of us are really, really having a hard time right now solving our problems. So I want to break this down in a way that you can really understand and you can really get some stuff that will help you to propel forward today. I mean, I'm going to be sharing some stuff that's actually going to help you. Like you can take and like implement kind of stuff. Okay. I've been writing Be Do or Have exercise. Right! Awesome! Because what do I say in the group? Wealth Consciousness Collective. Do the exercises, do the exercises, do the exercises, right? Fantastic. I love that. Feel free to share this. If you're watching on my business page, you can share it. If you're watching on my timeline, you can share this with anybody you think that, you know, they need to hear it. Or, you know, it can really benefit them. So here's what's been going on for me. January was a real whirlwind, okay? January 2019 was a trial by fire introduction to this year. And probably many of you who are watching this, and if you're watching replay, go ahead and put in #replay. It really was a trial by fire, January 2019. And it is meant to really give us, it's a universal introduction to what the rest of the year is going to be like, and probably 2020 as well. 2020 is going to be a little calmer because the dust is going to settle a little bit. At least that's what I've been checking into. But 2019 is going to kind of continue with this ebb and flow of pretty intense energies. And so when we are in a place where we feel like we're having a really hard time solving our problems, right? We have issues, challenges, things that we're facing that are difficulties. They are problems. We need solutions for them, okay? When it feels like we're getting turned over by the waves, you ever gone swimming in the ocean and the wake of the waves, or where the waves break on the shore, can be really intense, and if you're anywhere near that shore break, you get kind of rolled up in those waves. When I used to live in Hawaii, that actually kind of used to be fun for me because I'm a weirdo. But if your life feels like that and you're just trying to like come up for air, it can be really disconcerting. It can really throw you off balance. It can derail you on, you know, whatever you're trying to do, accomplish in your life, however you want to move forward. If you feel like you're being tossed around in the waves, hi Catherine, I was just going to tag you. Thanks for being here, and I got to tag one more person too, Bonita. If you feel like you are being tossed around in the waves, it can be really, really difficult to feel like you're staying on track, or you're able to be accountable and responsible with keeping your goals going. If you have these problems you just feel like you can't solve, it doesn't ever feel like you're moving forward, does it? It just feels like you're kind of stuck, like you're going around and around. Well, in a way, you are. There's no such thing, if you ask me, there's really no such thing as being stuck. We just have creative new ways of experiencing the same kind of event over and over again because we're always creating. So we're never really stuck. We're always creating new ways of experiencing the same emotion or the same experience, the same event over and over again. But when you are facing a bigger problem, hi Cassie, thanks for being here. When you are facing a bigger problem, when you are facing something that just feels like, I can't get past this. This is holding me up in my life. I don't know what happiness feels like. I don't know what joy feels like. I don't know what freedom feels like because I can't get past this one thing. If anybody hears what I'm saying here, please give me some hearts, give me some likes. We just feel so defeated and so incapable of having a life that is greater than the problem, right? Because the problem becomes everything. And I want to explain to you why the problem does become everything, and actually why the problem becomes you. You become the problem. You embody the problem. The problem eventually is you. I want to explain how this all happens, okay? So when you're in this place where you have this problem, it doesn't matter what it is. You have some issue, you have some challenge that you're facing that you feel really challenged by, okay? You feel like it's just bigger than everything, okay? You can't think past it. You can't feel past it. So if you're having a problem, you're thinking about this problem all the time. And when you're thinking about this problem all the time, you have an instant chemical response in the body. It produces an emotion to go right along with the thought. So if your problem is making you feel insecure, if your problem is making you feel fearful, if your problem is making you feel like you're not enough, you can't ever have enough, you're not ever going to be enough, you're going to have feelings in the body that allow you to feel disempowered, that just make you feel defeated, that make you feel depressed, that make you feel anxious, that make you feel full of panic maybe, that make you feel full of worry. Okay, Benita, you did see my tag, I hope. We get into a place where, because we have this constant sensory feedback of our thoughts and then our feelings, our thoughts and our feelings, our thoughts and our feelings. If you're thinking about this problem all the time, you're thinking about what's happening for you that's keeping you in this place of like this lower emotion or this lower feeling, right? You have a feeling instantly that matches the thought. That's how our bodies are wired. We fire, our brains are wired to think certain thoughts, and we match them based on our vibration. And our vibration comes around because of the emotion that we have. So if you're feeling insecure about something, you're feeling fearful about something that you have to do, you feel anxious or panicky about something you have to do, you're going to feel it in the body, right? You can't separate your thoughts from your feelings. So what happens when we have this feeling that becomes, because when we think of our problem, we think how much bigger it is than anything else, anything better in our life, because we can't even really see past the problems. We can't even see the solution. We can't even get into a space where we can kind of create solutions. And I'm going to tell you why that is in a minute. The body starts to become the problem because our emotions are they become our whole world. Okay? Our emotions become our whole world. They become our experiences when, in fact, emotions are a byproduct of our experiences, the experience being the thought. The emotion follows right on the heels of that, but the emotion is what fills up the body, right? It's what tells the body that, okay, I have butterflies in my stomach because I feel this anxiety. Or, I'm starting to get the cold sweats because I have this fear, okay? It fills up the whole body. And you are living then in this experience. And it becomes so much bigger and greater than anything else you can imagine that's beyond it. Okay, so in that moment when you are so focused on, fixated on your problem, no matter what, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're thinking about and feeling into this problem all the time, it becomes your whole world. And when it becomes your whole world, you're only wired to bring in experiences that match that. Does this make sense to you guys? Are you following me? So in that sense, you embody the problem. You are the problem. Because our emotions are so adept at helping us to feel who we are. Our emotions help us to create an identity. Our emotions help us create from this identity a personality, and from that our whole personal reality. So in a sense then, if you're following what I'm saying, if you have become the problem, meaning you can't think or feel past this problem that you're having, then you are the problem. And you are only attracting because you've become this incredible magnetic point of attraction. So you are attracting only things that are equal to that feeling or equal to those thoughts that you're thinking about that problem. Does this make sense? Okay. I hope you're following me here. I can expand if you don't get what I'm saying. So when this becomes then your identity, meaning you start to literally identify with it so much that you say, I am this problem. And you might not use that verbiage, but you might say, you know, I am insecure. I am fearful. And anytime you say I am and create an identity for yourself, that becomes who you are. You embody that. You are that. And when you are that, and you wake up every day, because we have about 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. 90% of those are the same thoughts that we had the day before, unless something changes, unless you tweak something, unless you fix something, unless you get very good at being able to think about what you're thinking about, or look at what you're feeling and change it. You're thinking the same thoughts, about 90% of the same thoughts that you thought the day before, and the day before that, and the day before that. So you're creating a predictable destiny of being the same person who is this problem every single day, over and over and over, on end, until something changes, until something gets tweaked. And the reason why usually nothing ever changes is because we're not checked in on this highly cognizant, highly aware level to know that we're thinking equal to this problem and that we're feeling equal to this problem and nothing else. Do you guys get what I'm saying? And when you are in this place where you are thinking only thoughts that are equal to the problem, you are feeling feelings that are only equal to the problem, you are living in a consciousness called the survival state. And this survival state is this kind of fight or flight response that we have. We are wired for this. You know, our primordial brain, the primitive brain, is wired for fight or flight. This is a response that the body has for survival. But the problem is, if you're thinking 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, 90% are the same ones that you were thinking the day before and the day before that, and those thoughts are negative. Those thoughts are equal to the problem that you are, or you have become, or that you have, right? And you're feeling the feelings that are equal to that survival mode. What you're doing is not only physically deteriorating the body over time, because being in the fight or flight response for longer than just a quick shift deteriorates the body down to a cellular level. It deteriorates all the muscles, the tissues, and the brain cells. When the body is in fight or flight, it's meant to be a very short response. It's not meant to be this prolonged, chronic, long-term condition. And the problem is, most of us living on the planet at this time are living in this prolonged, chronic, long-term condition, this highly stressed state of survival mode consciousness. And so how the body is wired to be in that place is we are only thinking about how to survive, how to get through, how to put out this fire, how to manage this crisis. We're not thinking beyond that. When the body is in this survival state, and this is a wonderful mechanism that the human body has, problem is we are using it and abusing it to our own detriment, to our own physical and progressive deterioration, okay? On all levels, physical, mental, spiritual, and otherwise. Emotional. It's a kind of emotional abuse, really, emotional self-abuse. So in the survival state, we're not thinking about creative things. We don't have bright new ideas come into this space. You know, we're not thinking about fun projects to work on. We're not thinking about a way of life that is open and free and carefree and full of excitement and new experiences. We're not able to think beyond the problem. And if we are the problem, we can't think beyond this identity. So what you're trying to do when you say, well, I don't want to be in fear anymore. I don't want to be insecure anymore. I don't want to be overweight anymore. I don't want to be poor anymore. Whatever your problem is, it doesn't matter what it is. These same set of circumstances happen for you, no matter what the problem. If the problem is so pervasive in your life and you can't move past it, you become the problem, meaning you are wired to think thoughts that are equal to it, and you are firing emotions that are equal to it all day, every day, day on and day to day to day to day to day, going on and on and on until something changes. And you're trying to say, mentally, you're saying, okay, well, I want to be this other person. I want to have this other life. I want to have more happiness. I want to have more joy. I want to feel better in my own body. But you can't even be in a state when you are living equal to this problem. You have become the problem. You identify as I am this problem, whatever it is. You are not able to think past it. And you are not able to create change from this level of perception. There is no change that can happen for you when you're in the survival mode consciousness. You're only wired to bring in thoughts and emotions that are equal to that survival state. So this is not a solution-oriented consciousness. So until you find a way to move past, move out of the problem, get beyond the problem, you cannot create alternatives. You cannot create unpredictable outcomes. You're only going to have the same predictable outcomes of matching thoughts, matching feelings to this thing over and over and over again. You are not in a solution-oriented creative space. Being in the creative state and the survival state consciousness are two mutually exclusive levels of consciousness. They cancel each other out. Okay? So how do you get past that? Well, first of all, you have to change the subject. Okay? You have to realize when you are thinking these defeating thoughts, these negative thoughts that keep you focused on the problem. Because whenever you have these thoughts that keep you equal to this problem, what you're doing is you're giving the mind mental instruction to focus on this thing and only this thing. The mind is very good at focusing on what you tell it to. The mind is excellent at that. Problem is, we're so used to being wired this way, the survival state consciousness, where every day on end it's the same experience over and over again. We're living on autopilot. So we're not consciously checked in with our thoughts, thinking about what we're thinking about. And this is what is our task at hand. If we want to change something and create real long-term, deep transformation, we have to think about what we're thinking about. We have to be aware of what we're feeling. As soon as we think a thought, we have to be present with what that emotion is. Because that emotion, what it's doing is creating our identity. It's allowing us to become what it is we're thinking about. Does this make sense? Please give me some hearts here. So what our task is to be able to move beyond this, if you really want to create long-term change, long-term transformation, is, let me put it this way. I want you to think about it this way. Think of when you have a problem, and it's so huge, it's so big, think of it as like you are the eye of the storm in like a tornado or a hurricane, okay? You're the epicenter, meaning you are the point of attraction for everything that's in that tornado, everything that's in that hurricane, spinning around, houses. Think of the Wizard of Oz, right? When Dorothy gets carried away, here she is, and she's seeing, the Wicked Witch fly by. She's seeing cows. She's seeing her farmhouse, a barn, all the stuff that just is swirling around you in chaos, okay? And you are the eye of the storm. You're the point of attraction. So you are the one that's creating the energy, because you're the point of attraction. So everything is moving, gravitating, siphoning towards you, like a whirlpool, sucking everything into your energy, because you're the point of attraction based on your vibration, how you're thinking and how you're feeling, okay? So if you think like the eye of the storm and imagine a tornado and imagine like the boundaries of this tornado, think about just what's outside of that tornado. And if you've ever gone through tornado country like I have, and actually seen tornadoes, I used to see tornadoes when I was living in upstate New York. I would see some tornadoes, very, very interesting, way off, I was in a safe distance, but what's interesting is about seeing how things get swept up in that tornado, everything that's in its path, right? Everything that gets swept up by that point of attraction, that eye of the storm in the middle, is chaotic, it's crazy. But just outside of that, it's calm. Just outside of that, it is totally calm. The only way that you can access this different level of consciousness, think of just outside of that tornado as being a different level of consciousness, okay? That calm, that place that is beyond the problem, okay? Where you are beyond the problem, that you're not the problem anymore. You're just neutral. You just are. Think about it this way too. Because when we're trying to create a whole new personal reality, what we are up against and we're kind of fighting against a little bit is the ego, okay? The ego needs to be identified. The ego needs to be somebody. That part of us that feels like we need to show up in the world and be accepted and be ourselves without judgment or escaping criticism, we want to be somebody, okay? That means we have an identity. We have a personality. This is our ego. This is our ego attachment to needing to be somebody, okay? Problem is, for many of us, being somebody means we are a problem. We are the sum total of our problems, our challenges, our issues, because we can't live in a state that is beyond our problems, okay? We identify as egoic beings as, I am this person, I am insecure, I am fearful, I am poor, becomes our identity. It allows us to be somebody. The ego will put us in a place where you have to be somebody, and the ego doesn't care if that somebody is someone who is poor and disempowered and not living a good life. The ego doesn't make that distinction. All the ego knows is that you are somebody. If you have this identity, at least you're somebody. The ego doesn't care if you're poor. The ego doesn't care if you've been abused. The ego doesn't care if you're a victim. The ego doesn't care if you're a martyr. It doesn't care about any of those things. It doesn't care if you're a millionaire. It makes no distinction. The ego needs to identify and be known, be seen, be heard. It needs to be somebody, okay? This is the part of you that clings to this old familiar way of being and finds it so hard to change. But in order to change, what you need to do is dig through all of those layers, all of that conditioning of the beliefs about who you think you are, the stories that you tell yourself and keep telling yourself about who you are, who you have been, all of the thoughts and the feelings that associate with that. You have to dig through all of those layers and get to something underneath, which is where the calm is. Remember my eye of the storm analogy? And just outside of the tornado's path is the calm. That's the higher intelligence that's also running the show. Problem is, many of us don't see enough proof, quote unquote, of this higher intelligence running the show, because the higher intelligence within you, and we all have this higher intelligence within us, call it spirit, call it your soul, it doesn't matter what you call it, there is a higher intelligence running the show underneath all of this, but it's deep down, underneath all the layers of the egoic conditioning, all the beliefs, the lies, the illusion that we carry about who we think we are that allows us to have an identity. This higher intelligence is buried way, 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 way down beneath all of that. It is untouchable by all that stuff. It doesn't need to be heard and seen and noticed. It doesn't need to be a somebody. In fact, this higher intelligence is just totally neutral. It just is. It's just love. It's just pure source consciousness. Okay? But it is the highest ideal, and what it holds as a container for you is the highest ideal of who you are. It holds that place within where you go to transform, to become who it is that you truly desire to be. It's that place within that you access when you are trying to create that desired vision of your future. Okay? So until we clear away all the crap and get deep down beneath all this stuff, all the layers of conditioning, all the false beliefs, all the illusion, all the thoughts, all the feelings that keep us thinking negative thoughts, that keep us living equal to our problem, Until we excavate and get down beneath all of that, we can't access this calm. But when we do access this calm, this is the place from which we create the highest idealized versions of ourselves. That person that you really want to be, that person you say that you want to be, or you said you wanted to be on January 1st, 2019, like, I'm going to do this year, I'm going to do that. What you've been fighting against is the fact that you are the problem. You have identified so much with your problems that you have become it. You assume the identity of the problem. And when you assume the identity of the problem, you are living, breathing, being this problem. You do not have the creative capacity to think beyond that. In fact, you can't even see beyond it. You can't feel anything beyond it. You may have glimpses or, lucid moments where you can have this kind of fleeting sense of joy or fulfillment or meaning. But it's fleeting, isn't it? It doesn't stick around. And then you just go back to being that old you because you're programmed for it. You're programmed for it by your thoughts. And because we're thinking 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, and you're still thinking 90% of those thoughts just like you did yesterday, you're not changing. And because you're thinking the same thoughts, you're having the same feelings. And your body is wired to be that person and have that identity and be that somebody every single day until something changes. So what you must do is move into that creative state. You have to be in a place where you go beyond the problem. And you access this through being in a meditative state. You access this by turning off all the stimulus that gives you this identity of somebody. Your whole outer reality is one giant reminder of who you are. The people in your life, the car you drive, the smells in your house, your dog, your kids, your job, your backyard, your bed, everything in your environment, and your sensory experience and relationship with it every day reminds you of who you are. So the second you wake up in the morning, you're reminded, and you look over at your spouse, you look over at your dog who's ready to go out, you go and turn on the coffee maker, go through your morning routine, all your behaviors that are just basically on autopilot for you. You're not doing anything different. You're being the same person. So then in that situation, everything in your environment is reminding you to think the same thoughts. Everything in your environment is reminding you to feel the same feelings. So you are living equal to your environment every single day. So what we need to do is move beyond a place where we're being reminded of our environment every single day. We have to turn off the sensory stimulus. This is the only way to move beyond the ego. This is the only way to move beyond survival state consciousness and to go into that place that is that calm outside of the tornado. Hi, Allison. Does this make sense? Please give me a heart if this makes sense. And if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. Do you understand that this is how you stop being the problem? Because when your problem, I'm going to say it again, when your problem is so massive and has been something maybe even for years that you haven't been able to get beyond, you become the problem. You are living and breathing everything that is matching the vibration of this problem, and you have developed your identity as somebody with this problem. I am this person. And until you find a way to move into a state where you can live beyond, move beyond, think beyond, feel beyond that level of survival state consciousness, you will never create long-term change. It's storming here, so I'm surprised my video didn't get interrupted before. You guys see me again? I know I froze for a second. Does this make sense? Is this getting you guys in the feels? Please put in the comments like, this is what I need to hear. And Allison says, as always, pop on right when I need to hear. Great, awesome, I love it. This is something we all need to hear. And I couldn't change my life. I couldn't reinvent myself until not only did I hear this, but I started creating behaviors to help me move beyond it. It's one thing to hear this, and on an intellectual level, we get it, right? I mean, you get what I'm saying. It makes sense, hopefully. But all of this is just lip service. All of this is just interesting Facebook talk, unless you do something and take some massive action towards this. You are doomed to a predictable destiny if you don't take action on this. Do you understand that? There are many of you, and I've worked with many of you, who are saying they want massive change. Like, at a fundamental level, you desire to be a different person. This is how you must do it. This is the only way. Okay? I was joking the other day in my group about how, people want to manifest something, and, there's a lot of manifesting courses out there, and ways to do it is just like, write down your intention 500 times and do it 5 days in a row, and 5 is a magic number, so, write that down 500 times, 555 times, and then do that 5 days in a row, skip 5 days, and then do it again. How is that, something like that, okay, or any other kind of bullshit manifesting technique, gonna get to that place that is a deep dive underneath all the layers of ego conditioning, thoughts, beliefs, stories, and memories that we have about ourselves over decades, and change you at a fundamental level? Get to that higher intelligence that I was talking about beneath all that. You think a manifesting technique like that is going to do it? Are they all magic numbers? If you ask me, yes. Because math is everything. Math is the language of the universe. So the change that needs to happen for you, if this is really hitting you in the feels and you're like, this is me, this is who I am, I want this level of change, please understand that the change that needs to happen for you then is at a fundamental level, a foundational level, where you have to completely unlearn your old way of thinking, believing, feeling, acting. You have to stop telling the same stories to yourself. You have to stop reliving the same memories, because when you relive the same memory, your brain, your body, thinks it's happening right now. So when you relive a painful memory, the brain and the body make no distinction about, oh, this is a memory, or this is happening right now. You are, for all intents and purposes, living that problem. You are being, breathing, living that problem. Okay? You have to unbecome the old you. Fundamentally. Do you understand what I'm saying when I say fundamentally? Like the whole kit caboodle. Everything's got to go. It's like a clearinghouse, okay? Now, that's not to say you can't be thankful or grateful for all of life's experiences, because I wrote a post yesterday, and at the title of the post was that, everything that's happened for you in your life, hasn't been an interruption to your journey. It has been your journey. So everything about who you are has brought you, let's just say, and I don't mean to be all high and mighty here, but let's just say it brought you to this live here today so that you could hear this. The composite, the sum total of all of your experiences and events, maybe, let's just say, for the sake of argument, brought you here so you could hear this. Or allowed you to stumble onto this replay so you could watch me and engage with this here and really feel what I'm saying. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that that's true. And what if that is true, and you get that you need to unbecome the old you, and then completely build yourself up from this fundamental level, from this base foundational level, where you're working at the level of higher intelligence, not the ego. Because many of us on this planet have built ourselves up to create this identity, to create this idea of I am somebody, based on an ego perspective. Not based on a higher intelligence perspective. So what if you unbecome the old you and you get to build up, be the architect of a whole new you by deliberate design, your deliberate design, meaning you are the fucking architect. You have that beautiful cobalt blueprint, that it's just pristine. It's ready for you to imprint whatever you want on it. This is the level of creation that's available to us. But a lot of us don't realize when we're saying that we want change or we want to have a shift, that you are so beholden to the old way of being. You are programmed for it. You are designed for it. You are hardwired for it. Until you break down that programming and deconstruct the old self, good luck creating long-term transformation and change. And yet at the same time, this is what many of you reach out to me and you say that you're asking for this. But you have to be willing to go the next, to the next step, to the next level with this. We can't hold on to this fear anymore of, well, who am I going to be if I'm not somebody? You are living at the level of ego conditioning, which means you are living at the level of survival consciousness. That is your fear. Like, who am I if I'm not somebody? One of our biggest ego fears is losing this idea that we are somebody. Even if that somebody is rife with pain and trauma and shock and a way of being that's really fucking uncomfortable. It doesn't matter. We're still somebody. But if you are operating at this level of fear of, if I deconstruct myself, if I unravel what's left of me, you are living at the level of survival consciousness. You are living at the level of ego. And the change that you're asking for, the change you are desiring, is not going to come to you. Sorry, not sorry. So the way to work with me going forward is working at this level. Because this is our task as women, moving forward, is to be able to step into this without fear, to step into creating a whole new self of our deliberate design without fear, without having it be reminiscent or reflective of the old self. Because quite frankly, everything that you're going through right now, what probably brought you to or made you read the title of this live in the first place, is the fact that you are having so many problems at this point, and or this one problem is such a colossus, it's so massive in your life that you can't think beyond it or move beyond it. Why do you think that is? And why do you think that many things are deteriorating or falling apart in your life because of this? Because the old operating system of you can no longer be supported with where we're going. And because the higher intelligence within you is asking for this greater way of being, is asking to become the highest ideal of yourself, do you really think that you came to this planet to just suffer through and deal with a problem and be in crisis management mode and be putting out fires all day long, every goddamn day? I can guarantee you that's not why you came here. And I can also guarantee you that every single one of you watching, whether it's the replay or whether you're here live, you have this grand design, this dream, this vision of who you desire to be. Some of you could reach out and touch it, it's so close. I know you can feel it, even though it feels like right now, maybe that's not for me, it's too big for me, whatever. That's the old you talking. That's the ego self talking. That's survival state consciousness talking. Okay? I'm talking about leading the ladies who are willing to say, adios, ego. You got me to where I am now. You got me to this place of reckoning. I love to call this, when we make this decision, we have these lucid moments, and we wake up and we see how we have been living in limitation. That is a place of reckoning, and you get to do two things with this. You get to either say, change is too big for me. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't become somebody else. I have people who depend on me. I have all these things going on in my life. I have to take my car in to get an oil change this week. You're either that person, sorry, not sorry, or you are the one that says, you know what? I did come here to do something that is well beyond what I'm doing right now. When I go to sleep at night, I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like there's a huge hole in me that all of like the misery, all of my problems just kind of washes through me and it leaves me feeling empty. And I know there's something more for me. Even if you can't name it yet, even if you can't put a finger on it, even if you can't even totally feel it yet, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. If you have this knowing that whatever problems you are, that you're living equal to, that you are well beyond that, that you are a being of light that's meant to bring so much more light and life to this world, that you have a message, maybe you have a vision, you have a purpose, you have a mission, whatever that is, stop making excuses for not doing it. One of my clients said something to me the other day. I've been doing this for a while. I've been live and online for about 4 years now. And this is a woman who has been watching me. She's been watching my YouTube channel. She was excited when I started my podcast. She's been watching my Facebook Lives. She signed up for all my freebies, all that stuff. She's been doing the meditations on my website, all that stuff for the last 4 years. She became my client just recently. Because she got to this place of reckoning where she was like, I just can't live this way anymore. I need more in my life. Hi, Dana. Hello. I didn't see who else joined. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Teresa. When we were working together, and we were about 2 sessions in doing some private work together, and she said to me, when she first started watching me, she wasn't ready to do any of this stuff. It was all just like a curiosity to her, like this idea that being able to live beyond or move beyond the experience that she was having in her life, and this was 4 years ago, was just like this kind of pipe dream. It was something that was like for other people. It was never for her. It was never going to happen. But it was something she kind of daydreamed and kind of fantasized about being this other person. And she had this idea of what that was going to be, and her life mate that she wanted to have, and she wanted to have kids. She's had 2 kids since then, since she first started watching me. And she said, my biggest fear, but she said it didn't give her enough of an impulse to do anything at the time, but her biggest fear when she first started watching me was that she was going to be watching me 5 years later, still going to the same lives, watching the same lives, hearing me talk about the same things, and that she was still going to be the same person. And that's what made her say, okay, well, this is the five-year mark is coming up. So I'm going to work with Catherine. I'm going to find the investment. I'm going to figure out how to do it, because I don't want to be that person who even 5 years from now is still watching these same Facebook Lives and saying, gee, I wish that was me. And nothing in your life has changed. Nothing. Do you want to be that person? I don't even want to be that person. I have made some massive investments over the last year because I am so committed to bringing a bigger, bolder vision to my life, but also bringing more value to the people that I serve, being more of a light in this world, empowering more women, bringing a message of, hey, if I can do this, you can do this, to all the women that I work with. I may be here talking about stuff that you're like, God, I wish I could say that, or, I wish I could come to that realization. You know what? I was where you are, and I figured out how to reinvent myself. I figured out how to unbecome the old me and reinvent myself. But I had to understand that I was living at a level where I was living equal to all of my problems, and I couldn't get beyond that. And you are not the same person, Allison. I'd like to think I had a little bit to do with that. But I know a lot's going on in your life too, and you started a business, and that was wonderful, and you got your degree. Like, so many things have happened for Allison that have just been wonderful for her. Wonderful. And I celebrate that about you. I celebrate all my sisters. So think about that. Do you want to be the same person tuning back in, watching me talk about this 5 years from now? Because it's not going to change, because my message is, my mission is, my purpose is to help you live beyond your problem. Because I have solutions. And these solutions were created because I had the problem, and because I was living as the problem. So I got really, really good at moving into a place where I could live beyond the problem and create solutions. You living at the level of your problem, having all of your thoughts and your feelings equal to that problem, you are not in a solution-oriented level of consciousness. I'm going to say that again. When you are living at the level of your problem, literally, from the examples that, if you've tuned in late, go back and watch the beginning at the replay, because I explain what it means to be living as your problem. When you are living as your problem, you are not in a level of consciousness where you can think beyond it, or feel beyond it, or see beyond it. So until you excavate all those layers and get to the higher intelligence that is this neutral, beautiful, very highly intelligent, very wisdom-oriented, solution-oriented place, until you learn how to access that every single day to move beyond your problem, that long-term transformation, those bigger shifts that you're asking for, they are not going to happen. You're going to default to your old programming, meaning the old self, the old you, because you're hardwired for it. Does that make sense? So I hope this helps you. And so Become the Creatrix is this program, by the way, and we start on Thursday. I may push it up another week just because I want more people in here, to be frank, and I don't know, tomorrow I might have jury duty, so I might need to push this up anyway. But if you want the tools and resources, and let's just say, for the sake of argument, you've kind of figured some of this out on your own, and you're trying to make these changes, and maybe you're coming to Facebook Lives, maybe like this one, but with other coaches, other mentors, and you're trying to piece together like a coaching program for yourself so that you can figure this out on your own. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Wouldn't it be so much better to invest in something so that you can fast track your results and start living as that ideal version of yourself now? Wouldn't you love to invest in someone who's actually gone through this and figured out how to reinvent herself and completely turn her life around? So that you don't have to second guess, you don't have to figure out, you don't have to piece together a bunch of freebies and opt-ins and Facebook Lives to kind of make this patchwork quilt of a coaching program for yourself. So you can do this, and many women do this, and this is what is part of the power paradigm that's keeping us underserved. And we are underserving ourselves by saying, I'm not worthy of opting into or investing into this higher value program. We shoot ourselves in the foot that way because at the core of our thinking or feeling or even believing, we're not worthy. I don't have the money. I can't take that away from what I need to do for my family, this, that, and the other thing. But think of how much better you could be serving your family and everyone around you if you are living as the highest ideal of who you are. And you're not sacrificing or conceding anything. You're not living in a place of struggle or suffering. You're accessing then all of the things that are beyond the problem that you are at this point. Why would you kill yourself doing this when you can pay someone to show you how? When you can pay someone to give you the tools? When you can pay someone to give you the resources, the steps to do it, to execute it? And even then, the payoff is that you have these steps, these tools that help you whenever a new problem arises or something that feels like it's another challenge or issue. You get to go through these changes again because you already have the steps and the tools to be able to do it. The women I've shared this method with, that Become the Creatrix, the woman that I shared it with last year, we worked together last August, she hit the $1 million mark in her business before December 31st. And she continued to use the steps and the tools and the resources that I had given her when we first worked with each other. She kept implementing them. She kept using them, even well after we stopped our coaching sessions together. Okay? That should tell you something. It's what I share with you is rinse and repeat, so you can use it for anything, any problem, any challenge, any issue you're facing. You have the tools to execute, to get the solution. And like I mentioned, we are not in a solution-oriented space when we're living at the level of our problem. I help you to get the solution and live beyond your problem and to live beyond the identity of I am this problem. That's Become the Creatrix, ladies. I would love to have more ladies in there. Decide that you're paying for the capability, for the know-how to live beyond your problem. And then figure out how much that's worth to you. And then figure out if you're not living out at this highest ideal of self every single day and you're living at the level of your problem, what is that costing you? So I'm going to leave you with that. I have guests coming over because I'm hosting a Super Bowl party. Yes, perfect grounding element to bring in after talking about this stuff with you guys. So I hope this has found you well. I want to wish you so much love and light, so much love and peace. Thanks for watching. Please share this with some ladies that you think would benefit from this. And I want to wish you just a beautiful, beautiful week. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.